I just loved his presence, his everything, you know. I was just in love with the guy, and he was gone. One moment I was talking to him, the next he was declared dead. Okay, at the time of his death, we were going through the most. We were going through hardship. I don't know whether this is what Apostle Paul calls long suffering, but it was that period where, you know, I used to have a good position at the bank and I was paid well, and suddenly I was no longer there, you know, given my monies, and you know, and things just didn't work out. I started looking for a job. So the job that I was doing at the time, I was a receptionist. It was a downgrade because I think I had stayed about 3 or 4 years without a job, and I could see that we cannot carry on like this. We tried business, it did not work. So we took the money that I got from my pension money from this bank I used to work at, and we started business. We didn't really mind. So business didn't do well. People bought in credit and never paid. Some would pay like in installment. It just didn't work out for us, right? So I had to go back to the corporate world, and because of the circumstances, I was happy to start small, you know. Working as a receptionist, you know, we could not pay the bond. He was also not employed at the time. My salary could only buy groceries and obviously take care of the needs for this 18 months old while he was, you know, looking for a job. And I remember I said to him, let's sell the car. We'll get money, we'll pay maybe the bond, and we'll make a living somehow. Because the bond was like over 10 months, and we got summons, and I remember that day he was buried, that house was supposed to be auctioned. But again, by the grace of God, I spoke, you know, obviously openly to everybody else. I told them, guys, I don't think we can do the burial here because of these problems. And one of his friends came to me and asked for the bank name, the account number, and asked me to ask them how much was outstanding. And I did that. I got the amount, I gave it to him, I gave him the account number. The next day he came back to me with a deposit slip that shows that the outstanding amount has now been paid off, and the house was never going to be auctioned. However, there was something else that the lawyers needed to do. It was just a whole lot of things, but I was not in my rightful mind, right? I had just experienced a person who was close to my heart, very dear to me, the father of my children, my husband, being killed. Oh, you would be expecting me to be mourning, but it did not happen, not straight away. So first 2 days, families came. In fact, the day after, most of the families came. You know, they were there with me. So family members from my family's side would be with me in our bedroom, and then family members from his family's side were in our lounge, because we had really small, tiny houses, so the rooms were not big enough to accommodate both families. So one of his aunts, right, on the second day, right, when they were untidying up in the morning, picked up something that looked like a caterpillar, or I'd say a caterpillar because it did look like a sort of a wormish thing without wings, right? But when I looked at it, I thought maybe it was a butterfly without wings. But they brought it to me and they said, Magoti, daughter-in-law, what is this? I did not know where this was going. Okay, I was like, it's boom. It's a worm. I don't know what to call it. I don't know. I've never seen something like this before. But I knew that they might have found it where they were sleeping, because they were sleeping in the lounge and we had a light outside. So obviously it might have been attracted by the light and maybe got in over the door. That was not very logical. They took the thing to a diviner or inyanga or a sangoma, I don't know where, but kwahamba kwayohlolo. Oh, trouble started. Inyanga pointed at me. Apparently I was responsible for my husband's death. So I said to myself, Kanjani. We were at our lowest, right? The job I did as a receptionist could not pay anything. All our insurance policies had lapsed. Life covers had lapsed. The bond was actually handed over. They were repossessing it that same week. And why would I do that? All right. They were so convinced that I did it. And I had a hidden insurance claim. Fine. That they did not manage to actually prove. I gave them my ID copy and I said, go to each and every insurance company that you know. Ask them what I have claimed. They will tell you. Or ask them the policies that I have and its worth. They could not find anything because we were not paying. We could barely make a living. So at the time, because they didn't have proof at the time, it was tough. It was tough. If you know the setup, right? I was seated on the mattress in my bedroom all the time, and people will come, my friends, my family, community members, people from the church. They come and they offer. The moment they leave, family members from his side would come in and say, give us that man. You killed him so that you can benefit from his death. You are getting nothing. That money we are taking. Well, I would give them, obviously. It wasn't my intention to keep anything. They came a day after the funeral. They took everything. They took everything. They took everything. And I mean everything. Salt, we did not have. Spoons, Tupperware. They cleaned the house out. His clothes, everything was taken. If I could not prove that I bought it, it was taken. It was taken. We were asked to move out of the house. And again, by the grace of God, I showed them a statement that this house is only on my name, not on their son's name or their brother's name. So there's no way I'm going out of my own house. Never. Never. They did not even help with the contributions, which is okay. I guess they knew that, you know, their brothers wasn't part of the house or the owner. But it was difficult. After the funeral, it was hard. They called me names on my phone. Call me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. At first, I would try and defend myself, you know, try and bring facts, try and say, why would I do that? Look at this, look at that. Why would I do that? Look at this, look at that. Why would I do this? No. It just did not make sense to them. So, all right, I got threats. On the day of the funeral, they told me, I'm going to follow him. And not a statement as if we are all going to die. One day you will meet your maker. No. A threat that you are also following. If you think that you are smart enough, we will do you the same that you have done to our brother. I could see that these people are serious. I explained the situation at work, took a transfer. We had another branch back home, took the transfer there. And by the grace of God, my God, look at him. There were no receptionists there. There was no receptionist, nothing. There were only, it was a small branch. So they said, look, there's this, a vacancy there for operations warehouse manager. So what we'll do, we'll promote one of the salespeople to be the to manage the warehouse. You would then take over their role as a salesperson, because I was a salesperson at the bank. They said, you just need to make sure you learn as fast as you can our products, then you can be a salesperson. My salary was doubled. In fact, they made sure that they accommodate even the medical aid that I did not have this side. And I remember my manager saying, you cannot say you don't want a medical aid, because where you are going, there's a lot of mines, the air is polluted, people they are struggling and suffering with, you know, respiratory and chest pains. So there's a whole lot of sicknesses there. So you need a medical aid, and it's policy that that branch, everybody must be on a medical aid, unlike the Joburg branch. And with their offer, I mean, obviously, they did a dummy payslip to work out if I'm taking this medical aid, how much my take home is going to be. And they made sure that I have a sizable amount of take home now that I'm the only one taking care of these kids. And immediately I saw God. You know, Psalm 68:5 says, a father to the fatherless, a husband to the widows is God in his holy habitation. I became testimony of that verse to say, I have seen him provide. I have seen him provide. I stayed that side for obviously I think 2 years, until friends of mine came and asked me to, they were starting a ministry, and they asked me to come, you know, and help them. And that's how I came back this side in back to Joburg. But what I wanted to share, you know, the crux of this testimony is, from what we have been through, my kids and I, we never really got time to mourn, right? Because immediately after my husband's passing, I needed to defend myself. Even when I had left back to Mpumalanga, I would get calls. The investigating officer would call me and say, I want you here. I would need to make time to answer their questions, because really I was suspect number one. And I'd have sleepless nights. I would not know what I am doing, where I'm going, and why am I even in a foreign land? Why am I not in my house? But when the noise had settled, when it all faded, when my in-laws stopped calling me, because they would call me with this number, screaming, shouting, cursing, I would drop it, block. The next day, another number calls, same thing, they're giving it to me. Yeah, you killed him. Yeah, this, and that. Yeah. Cut it, block. The next day, it's another number. Every single day for almost 2 or 3 months. I remember one day while I was there in Mpumalanga, I left my phone on my desk. It was an open sales, office where, clients will walk in. I just had left there. There were 3 of us, desk 1, 2, 3. I was the middle one, and I had gone, outside into the warehouse with the client to look at whatever that the client was looking at. My phone rang. Now my colleague took that call. They did not even listen or wait to hear whether it was her or me or whatever she said. They just gave it. She just put it on speaker. She listened to what they said. She was like, "Yo, girl, I don't know how you do this." But in any case, what I wanted us to look at, the grace of God that has kept me, that has kept my children, right? My 4-year-old, my 9-year-old, they can tell you the story of what happened. We've been to, I've been once to a psychologist, which was arranged obviously by the investigating officer, just to check obviously how well we were doing, and I was cleared on my first appointment, and my son was also cleared. My daughter, the 4-year at the time, was doing play therapy. She was also cleared. None of us were found with PTSD. None of us took any counseling or repeat, or we were found struggling to deal with the loss. We never went to any therapeutic, sessions, or we did not even take any medicine, for that matter, for what we have been through. And I saw my Redeemer living. I was like, wow, it can only be God. When I listen to people sharing their stories, sharing what they have been through and how they've been to psych hospitals because of their trauma, and because I look at my story and I say, mine was double. I lost a husband. I lost a life partner. I could not immediately mourn. I had to fight to prove my innocence. Later on, when the dust had settled, when all the noise had faded, that's when it hit me. But through it all, because I gave myself to God and I said, Lord, I will dedicate all the time I have in your presence, I started reading the Bible for myself. Because now that guy is no longer there. There was no way I could BBM him and say, Pela, ves. I had to know him. And I remember how I began to learn the scripture was. I wanted to know every story about the widow. And that's when I realized, wow, God actually loves the widows. God actually honors them. Actually, God keeps his word. And, every story where there was a widow, I would know about it in the Bible. I would read and see. And that's how I prayed. I would reference those stories and say, God, if you were able to do it for them, you would do it. If you were able to do it for Ruth, you will do it for me. If you were able to do it for Naim's, wife, you would do it for me. If you were able to do, the widow that Elijah helped, and I was like, Father, you would do it for me. If you were able to elevate Abigail, you would do it for me. Every story about a widow, I would use it to pray. And God healed us. As a great physician, He was our counselor. He healed each and every one of my family members. My kids, He healed us all. To this day, it's been 9 years now. 9 full years. We've never had issues. We've never had problems. But all I can tell you is that we wouldn't have done it had God not been on our side. He fought that battle. I don't know why they stopped calling me and swearing at me. I believe God stopped them at some point for me to begin to mourn. And I also believe that by wisdom, He took me through that process, because it was the first, and I was in a foreign, a place in another province where there are no friends. There was no one I know. There's nobody to come and comfort me. There's nobody to come and check after me and check on me. I was in a strange place with no one I knew, but with the kids. But God took care of each and every one of us to this day. My brother, my sister, may you be encouraged by this testimony. May you believe that there is a God out there, the one who does wonders, the one who fights your battle. Jehoshaphat says, this battle is not mine, but it is the Lord. I believe in that. I believe in that. Exodus 14:14 says, He will fight the battles on your behalf. God did it for me. He did it for me. He was there. He was the all-knowing God. His goodness was everlasting. He showed Himself to be the God who is omnibenevolent. And today I can attest that He is indeed that God.